Talk New Fans always update the latest news in those days. Let's take a look to see what we have today.
Former council speaker advising Vornado on controversial PennStation plan, as the Hochul administration advances a new iteration of the proposal with the prominent developer Vornado. Corey Johnson is counseling the builder on the plan.
New York, in 2018, when former Governor Andrew Cuomo floated a proposal for new towers around PennStation to help fund upgrades to the rundown transit hub, then City Council Speaker Corey Johnson said the plan must be stopped. Now, as the Hochul administration advances a new iteration of the proposal with the prominent developer Vornado, Johnson, who left elected office in December and has since started the lobbying firm Coho Strategies, is counseling the builder on the plan. I've always demonstrated my love for New York City through my work, which continues to ring true as I help advise on the most important and complicated infrastructure project before our city today that will impact hundreds of thousands of working New Yorkers, Johnson said in a statement to Politico. The plan, which is being overseen by the state's Economic Development Agency, would provide tax breaks to Vornado in exchange for the firm financing upgrades to the rail station. Johnson's involvement in favor of the proposal is a departure from his prior decision to distance himself from the industry by swearing off donations from developers and landlords. It's also a change from his previous concerns about the same state process that'll govern the PennStation project, which was part of his opposition to the Amazon deal in 2018. He really ran on an anti-conflict of interest platform by refusing to take real estate money, which I thought was very brave and laudable, said Layla Logisico, a critic of the proposal and land use chair for Manhattan Community Board 5. It is surprising that there would be such a shift in focus. The controversial PennStation plan, which falls within Johnson's former council district, envisions up to 9 new skyscrapers of largely office space around the transit hub. Vornado would be a prime beneficiary of the deal as the majority owner of most of the sites in the proposed development area. The proposal would be the biggest development project in the city's history if approved. It is moving forward through a state process that circumvents the city's lengthy land use review procedure. The city procedure requires approval by the council. The PennStation redevelopment will go through the same process the state was slated to use to advance ill-fated plans for a new Amazon headquarters in Queens, which Johnson opposed at the time, in part because the council was cut out of it. If this goes through, the state will be able to do whatever it wants, whenever it wants in one of the busiest sections of Manhattan, Johnson said in 2018 of PennStation plans introduced by Cuomo. We're talking no environmental review process and zero input from New York City. It's not fair to this city, which must be able to control its destiny. And it's not fair to the public, who will be denied any type of legitimate review process. In the statement provided to Politico Wednesday, Johnson said public meetings that have happened over the last 4 years have resulted in more local input. This project has had robust community engagement as the general project plan moved forward, including more than 16 public community advisory committee working group meetings with elected officials and advocates, as well as dozens of other forums with community members, residents and other key stakeholders, Johnson said. Johnson said he's proud to join several unions, Hochul and Mayor Eric Adams, in supporting a project that will create thousands of prevailing wage jobs, add significant public realm improvements throughout the surrounding district and transform the nation's busiest train station into a modern commuter hub for the people. The plan has been modified since it was first introduced, with Hochul laying out a new version with lower building heights and more housing, and scaling back the size of the development by 7%. But the broad contours of the proposal remain the same, and it's still controversial. Critics have objected to a lack of transparency around the proposal's financing structure and the potentially sizable tax breaks for a major developer. The exclusion of the city council from a major development deal was among Johnson's concerns when he opposed the Amazon deal in 2018, in addition to tax breaks the company was slated to receive and its record on labor issues. Amazon is one of the richest companies in the world, but you can't put a price on community input, which has been missing throughout this entire process, Johnson said in a statement at the time. I find that lack of engagement and the fact that the negotiations excluded the city council, which is elected by New Yorkers to guide land use projects with communities in mind, extremely troubling. When Johnson announced he was exploring a bid for mayor in early 2019, he said he would reject campaign donations from real estate interests, though he had accepted money from the industry in prior years. He won an early endorsement from the influential tenants' rights group Tenants PAC in January 2020, which cited his pledge to refuse money from developers. New Yorkers are fed up with our pay-to-play political system, Johnson wrote in an email to supporters in 2019. They know that real estate developers and lobbyists have had too much sway for too long. Johnson said his decision at the time reflected his position as council speaker, which has final say on projects going through the city's formal land use review process. Given the position I'm in as Speaker of the Council, and given that there are a number of projects and developments that come through this body, it would not be tenable for me, for the next 2 years in running for mayor, potentially, to take money from developers, when we are the final arbiter, he told City State in January 2020. That is the line in the sand that I drew. It definitely seems like an about-face, said Jonathan Weston, Executive Director of the left-leaning advocacy group New York Communities for Change. The real estate industry and specifically Vornado are responsible for a lot of speculation that's occurred across the city to jack up rents and raise prices, so it definitely seems like a kind of 180 by Corey. Vornado is both the city's largest commercial landlord and a major political donor. CEO Stephen Roth gave the maximum individual contribution of $69,700 to Hochul's gubernatorial campaign, and donated heavily to Cuomo over the years as well. Roth also gave $2,750 to Johnson's campaign for council in 2015, fewer than 3 months after leaving public office. Johnson's nascent lobbying firm, along with Mets owner Steve Cohen, who gave $1.5 million to a pro-Adams PAC and is represented by Moonshot Strategies, won a major policy change from City Hall in the form of an exemption to the city's private sector vaccine mandate. Johnson's firm was paid $18,000 to lobby the mayor and top city officials on behalf of the Brooklyn Nets to loosen vaccine requirements for performers and athletes in local venues, like the Nets' Kyrie Irving. He was also hired to lobby for the Central Park Conservancy, according to city records. Johnson advised Adams' mayoral transition, has a relationship with City Hall Chief of Staff Frank Carone and has been spotted at Zero Bond, a private club Adams frequents. Johnson is not registered to lobby for Vornado. As such, he can't technically try to influence government action on the project and call officials and lawmakers in charge of the plans, but could still offer internal advice in a consulting role. If there are no meetings, communications with government officials, then he could make the argument he's doing some kind of strategic consulting and it's not lobbying, said John Caney, executive director of the watchdog group Reinvent Albany. Still, he noted that given Johnson's former position, he has to operate under specific conflict of interest rules, and the protocols are complex. The law is more complicated for him because he did wield so much more power than the average city employee. While not accusing Johnson of anything improper, Caney also noted, there's tons and tons of unregistered lobbying going on in New York State and New York City. We see it all the time.
This is the end of our news today. Thanks for watching and have a good day.